Peace, beautiful celestial being. I hope that you're doing well. And yes, this is going to be our first session, you know what I'm saying? And in this session, I'm primarily going to be looking at the important things and significant things that I see within your birth chart. Now, first and foremost, because the time that was provided is we're not 100% certain with it. I'm going to kind of somewhat glimpse over the houses, and more so, rather than providing statements, kind of provide questions, because what that will do is it'll kind of help us hone in on exactly what your time of birth is, you know what I'm saying? Or like what your true ascending is, because the thing about your time of birth is, I'm sure you're aware, is it kind of lays the foundation for the houses, right? So according to the time you were born, it dictates the way that the planets express in the different areas of your life, right? Now, without further ado, let's definitely jump into it. I feel like what we should discuss like first would be like Saturn, and then Mercury, and then also the sun, because according to this chart, you have your sun, not your sun, you have your rising sign in the sign of Leo. And what that would mean for you is that your life is ruled by that energy of the sun, right? Like your personal life, and the theme of your life today, or in this lifetime at least, is meant for you to learn how to step into your power. You know what I'm saying? And in a sense, learn how to be a leader rather than a follower, and learn how to express yourself, let your light shine, essentially, is what the Leo energy is all about. When it comes to Leo, right, we can also talk a little bit about the fact that Leo deals with the willpower. You know what I'm saying? Its key phrase is I will, and it's all about willing things into existence. You also want to think of creativity in correlation with Leo. You know what I'm saying? In the sense that Leo deals with any and everything that we as humans are capable of bringing into existence through our creative abilities. And this also, of course, includes our offsprings and our children, right? Leo definitely rules that as well. And yeah, with your rising sign being in Leo, that would just be an indication of the sun being a very prominent planet within your life, right? I say planet, but it's really a star, a fixed star. And another thing, for us to discuss, saying that this is the case, that your rising sign is Leo, it would also be an indication that, like, you do possess tremendous amounts of creative energies, right, which are very interchangeable with sexual energy as well. And also Leo energy, these individuals in the body, right, because Leo in the body rules the heart, and thus these individuals, they have tremendous ability to demonstrate kindness, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, demonstrate tremendous amount of kindness. And a lot of the times with the energy of Leo, these are the people that are willing to, let's say, extend themselves to someone else, and help them, and like be charitable and be giving and be caring, whereas others may kind of ignore or avoid. You can kind of look at it like, okay, it's interesting, because with the energy of Leo, like, these can either be like domineering individuals who kind of enjoy power, and have a desire to kind of want to rule over other people and dominate other people, right? Like, and that's like the lower octave, because Leos have a capacity to lead in a healthy manner as well, where they aspire to lead through kindness and love, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's like very much like that Leo ascendant, Leo rising energy. And another prominent theme here, considering that the sun deals with the identity in the individual, it's an indication that in this life you are here to learn about what and who you are as an individual. You're here to explore yourself, develop and cultivate your identity, and essentially, yeah, like develop and cultivate your identity, so then you can go about contributing one way or another to society, you know, to your community or to your family, to your home, however that may play out. Because when you think of the sun's energy, you know, which is a direct reflection of Leo's energy, the sun is like a father, right? It has this very fatherly energy about it. And I say father, you know, but of course in certain traditions they do paint the sun to be a feminine thing, right? A feminine expression, a feminine energy. But yeah, overall though, being an active force in this and the third, the sun is typically associated with masculine energy. And yeah, like what the sun does, right, is it provides us sunlight. You know, I'm actually out in the sun right now. It feels so nice. Provides us sunlight. It was the foundation upon which everything in a sense stemmed from. So this is why the Leo energy and Leos in general can be centers of attention, or they can be very prevalent aspects in their community. You know, they can be highly dependent upon, and this and the third. And you know, it also just ties back to the fact that they're very literal orientated. Now, with you having Leo, well, with you having the ruling star Leo that rules Leo in the sign Gemini, what this indicates for you is that you are meant to be a leader, but through like the mind, to the mental faculties, you know what I'm saying? And the cool thing about it is Gemini in of itself is very much a literal energy. You know, a lot of us Geminis, we have a tendency of rather following the beat of our own drum, right? Rather marching to the beat of our own drum rather than, you know, being followers and listening to what other people have to say. Gemini can be very, very personable, and we have a lot of I, me, myself, you know, in our vocabulary as well. And on another note, you know, like Gemini rules thought, right? And its key phrase is I think. And this is why we can be so internally infatuated and so self-centered, because we are tremendously focused on our selves, you know, because we're focused on our thinking and this and the third. On another note, I also want to talk about the fact that like you have like, because if we're to talk about like, you know, like the selfish orientation of things, then it's important that we bring up like your Venus being in Aries and your moon being in Capricorn. You know, unfortunately these two are debilitated, right? And they're also aspecting each other and squirming each other. And so naturally, when it comes to the Geminian energy, they don't really resonate with, because Gemini is a very masculine sign, you know what I'm saying? And like, with you having your moon in Capricorn also, it reflects the fact that like, you had a hard upbringing, you know? A lot of the times though, like, even though there are cases and scenarios, often than not, of course, also, that people with their moon in Capricorn were raised through harsh conditions and circumstances that related with, like, you know, let's say scarcity, like resources being limited, like poverty. And as a result, certain experiences going about happening, right? Because when you're in a state where it's like things are restricted and things are limited, that not only affects you externally, but it tremendously impacts you internally as well. So that's one aspect of it as well, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the times the Capricorn energy like goes about accumulating wealth and acquiring stability and security, because they experience that duality of not having, you know, that security and stability, and then be like, well, if I don't have the security, like, well, not to say that per se, but then being like understanding the importance of being stable and being grounded and being secure, you know. And so that's one of the things that might have played out for you. Also, the moon, as I'm sure you're probably aware, reflects the motherly energy, you know. And so with you having your moon in Capricorn, it's an indication of like you having experiences with your at birth, at childhood, where even if it wasn't physically if it wasn't physical problems, you know, like poverty and things like that, there possibly most likely were abandonment related issues, you know, where even if your mother was around, she might have abandoned you emotionally, you know. And what happens, what that does is it creates a lot of stress, right, internally, where like we don't really even know how to and for the longest time, you know what I'm saying, like you may in of yourself, I'm pretty sure that you've evolved and you've grown, but like with this energy, it reflects a person who, because they didn't really have that innate experience of being nurtured and taken care of, but more so being abandoned by the people that were supposed to love and take care of them, that they kind of go about repeating that cycle in the future as well themselves. But simultaneously, you know, our first method for understanding how to emotionally interact, is reflected by our mother's relationship, right? Like we learn a lot about our inner world, how to take care of ourselves, how to love ourselves, and just our emotional reactions and things like that according to the experiences that we had with our mother and all that good stuff. And when when the moon is in Capricorn, like that kind of gets taken away, and these people have the possibility of growing callous, right, in their hearts, and kind of being rude, and cold. Like this is definitely a possibility. And I'm not saying that this is you or anything. I'm just giving examples of what can happen, you know. And so, with the moon and Capricorn energy, like one thing that's very, very important is you learn how to regulate your emotions. You learn how to release your emotions. And another thing about the moon is it deals with the past, right? As it also deals with our comfort zone. And the thing about what's comfortable to us is what's familiar. And the only way we get familiar with something, it's because it's been like in our past, pretty much, right? We've experienced it so many times that we're familiar and aware of it. So the moon deals with your comfort, where like how you react and respond is concerned, like what's most comfortable for you, and like Capricorn being a very karmic sign. A lot of Capricorn being a very karmic sign, a lot of people with the Capricorn energy and placements, they can be like very hold on, I'm trying to think. They can be like very, very karmic as well, with the way that they react emotionally with others. And so yeah, it's very important that you learn in of yourself that to get in touch with your emotions and learn how to release your emotions. But not only that, to learn to be like more compassionate and loving and caring, and more understanding towards other people, because the key phrase for that energy is like I use, in Capricorn is all about utility, utilizing someone or something. And so a lot of the times Capricorn falls short in their awareness because they strive to want to kind of only associate with people that are useful on one end, or use people and feel like if I'm not able to use this person, if this person doesn't provide like tangible value to me, then what's the point, And honestly though, to be transparent, this is more of a Sun and Capricorn thing. Like the Capricorn suns are more likely to use, because the sun is a masculine force. But then when it comes to the energy of like the moon, these people, they more have a tendency of attracting those negative energies to them, you know what I'm saying? It's like off the bat, for instance, like the mother that you may have been raised by, she may have been like negative, you know what I'm saying, and more so toxic in this and the third. And like, yeah, okay, I'll leave it at that. To dive back into like, and like, this is obvious, right? Because we are also aware that you have your moon conjunct your Saturn. And moon conjunct Saturn energy, like you have your moon conjunct your Saturn, but then fortunately you also have your Jupiter conjunct your Saturn, which actually plays a really good energy, you know what I'm saying? But you also have like Venus square your moon. So like with your Venus squaring your moon, one of the ways that this plays out for you is, so both Venus and the moon are feminine energies, They're not only squaring each other, but they're both in very masculine signs. Like the moon is in Capricorn, and Venus is in Aries. Like Capricorn is an earth sign, so it's typically considered like it's typically considered feminine, but being heavily associated with Saturn's energy, the Capricornian energy, even though it's a feminine thing, feminine energy, it can express through masculine expressions of like, being independent, reliable, useful, and like I'm not to say that the feminine energy isn't all those things. It's all those things as well. But I guess the thing about it is, Capricorn is heavily associated with like success, right? And when you think of success, like success is a very feminine thing, it's a very feminine energy. Reason being, it's because it's attractive. A lot of us are attracted to success. We're attracted to things that money can buy. We're attracted to having a bunch of money. We're attracted to, having a bunch of money. We're attracted to, I'm thinking, the nice car, the beautiful cars, the beautiful house, all the different things that's associated with, you know, wealth and success that we find attractive is actually feminine. And so from that lens, yeah, you can say Capricorn is a feminine sign. A lot of Capricorns, they may not understand, like Capricorn moons, right? They may not understand how to emotionally communicate with others or how to communicate their emotions. But one thing that they are really good at is showing their love through physical and tangible things. Like they'll give you, physical and tangible things. Like they'll give you something, or hold on, what was that thing? What was I saying? Yeah, they'll give you something tangible. Like either whether it's money or they'll even give you some form of service, but it's very tangible and practical. So the Capricorn energy may not be good at saying like I love you or expressing affection, but they're really good at showing it through practical ways and practical means. And like I was saying previously, right, like the moon and Venus, these are both feminine planets, you know what I'm saying? And with you having both the moon and Venus and their debilitation, but then on top of that aspecting each other, and then on top of that you having your sun in Gemini, right? Because let's talk about the Gemini energy real quick. Gemini is a masculine polarity. It expresses more so through the masculine energy rather than the feminine energy. And so, yeah, it expresses more so through the masculine energy rather than the feminine energy. And so what this does is it makes it so then like a lot of Gemini women, they may like neglect and abandon their feminine attributes and qualities because they put more interest into their mental faculties and abilities. They're more interested in learning and teaching and sharing ideas and information. And they're just very mental, right? They're more in the mind. So then they kind of feel as if they don't have time to be physical and tangible. Although, typically with the Gemini energy, Gemini women can definitely, even though they have this masculine energy about them and this tremendous intellectual ability about them, they know how where dressing and like showing themselves. They know how to like display feminine energy and feminine qualities. Like a lot of Geminis are very good when it comes to fashion and like knowing what to wear and what not to wear. And it's interesting because like in this sense, of course it makes sense that because Gemini is a duality, but there's a duality here where it's like Geminis, we're either very hippie and we just don't care, because we're so occupied in our minds that we just do the minimum to ensure that we put the clothes that we need to put on, and then that's it, that's all, and then we pay it no mind, right? But then other Geminis, they are conscientious about the way that they dress and the way that they look. And it's not even that they do so because of other people and they're trying to impress other people, but it's more so they associate, the way that they dress, their bodies with like the way that they feel mentally and emotionally, so they do it, but it's more so to feel like a higher mental agility or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But yes, so what happens here is with the sun in Gemini, and like I said earlier, the sun deals with the fatherly, and I didn't say this yet, but the sun deals with the father energy, right? And so being a masculine sign, the sun being in a masculine polarity, this also lets us know that growing up, you were kind of someone who more so relied upon like your father's influence and your father's energy, you know what I'm saying? And like it's interesting because, yeah, a lot of the times, even though like the father is a great influence for Gemini energy, what happens is the Geminis may struggle with abandonment issues from their fathers, because there's a theme where it's like where their father, when they needed their father the most, like he kind of wasn't there, you know. And honestly, like Gemini energy reminds me a lot of like Aang, you know, like from that show or series, The Last Airbender, you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender. In the sense that in the beginning it always says that, you know, Aang went through all the, like in the beginning, you know, he had great commune, a good community. Like Gemini is the sign of, you know, commune. Like it's twins. It does deal with brotherhood, you know, siblinghood and things like that. And especially for you, because you have your son at the second degree Gemini, one thing that you always have strived for and value tremendously is like companionship and relationship. And although like this is the case, it's very interesting because with you having your Venus in Aries, it's an indication that one, because you know Aries is associated with Mars, and Mars is associated with strife and struggle and overcoming obstacles. It indicates that you've had a lot of hardships and hard experiences where relationships are concerned. You know, like yeah, and where it may have even been like a power and control sort of issue, or it may have been like, yeah, someone that power and control, pretty much, right? Like someone trying to put you in a box or whatnot, and kind of trying to dim your flame. You know, when it comes to the Aries energy, these are the individuals, right? They want to express themselves and they want to kind of feel like they're in control, right? And this is the energy that you experience when it comes to your relationships. You know, in relationships, it's like there's this great desire to, of course, like on the positive note, like want to be proud of like the person you're relating with. You know what I'm saying? Your partner, and also like being attracted to more so that masculine, that Aries energy. You know, but simultaneously, it's what you're attracted to, but it's also what you have the ability to express and portray. You know, like you are a type of person, you know, who isn't like afraid, for example, on a social setting to approach someone, you know, and communicate with them. And let's say if they're a lover or a love interest, right? Then you aren't afraid, you know, to make that first move, to relate with them and everything like that. Like this energy, you know, Venus and Aries can make for really, really, really great like entrepreneurial energies. In general, Venus, I mean Aries is an entrepreneurial energy. You know, it's all about like independence and motivation and ambition, right? Yeah, and so like this can also be a understanding that like you may need to, not need to, but an area where you may be able to apply yourself can possibly be like law, not love, but like, yeah, careers where love is concerned, you know, like cosmetology, Venus, when I say love, where Venus is concerned, like maybe starting like a cosmetology business or working with other people on helping them, and like this wouldn't even be like you being the hairstylist or whatnot, but more so like you starting businesses, you know what I'm saying, and you being the CEO that runs it, and kind of getting people to do these things for you, like work on your behalf, employees, right? And like one area where you can become a CEO is like that whole area of cosmetology and beauty, fashion and things like that. But on another note, if we're just to look at the Venus Aries energy, this can also be like someone who's like a coach or like a mentor who helps people tap into like their self-confidence and self-belief, you know. And also, let me also say this, like with you having your moon being in conjunction with Saturn, this plays out an energy where like, let's say more so, because it's not the same with women, but like with men, when they have their Venus and Mars, and when they have their Moon and Saturn conjunct each other, it can play out as like of this energy of attracting and being attracted to like older individuals, you know. So there may have been this theme possibly when you were you know, back in the days when where love was concerned, where you may have attracted more older individuals than younger individuals. But the root reason for this, though, it's because like the Capricorn deals with growth and time and elderly energy, you know, and maturity as well. And then the moon, you know, it deals with our inner mind. It deals with how we react and respond to things, and it's our most vulnerable aspect, that aspect that we're supposed to protect, you know. And like when you think about it, like the sun is out in the day, you know, and our sun is very much that aspect of us that we can carry around and that we can, you know, demonstrate and share with other people as well, that we're comfortable. It's kind of like that protective layer about us, right? And for you, you use a lot of Geminian energy. Intellect, like intellect is where your shield is concerned. Like that's where you feel comfortable. You may feel like without your intellect, like not completely understand, like without what you know and how you think, like if you were to disassociate with those things, right, then you may kind of be in a space where you may feel like, who am I if I'm not these things? Like you may feel like, yeah. I hope that makes sense though. And as far as the Gemini energy is concerned, you know, Gemini, when the sun goes into Gemini, it can play out somewhat chaotic, right? Because Gemini is the sun's in harmony, right? Meaning like disharmony, you know, not in harmony, but disharmony, which I think are the same words. Meaning that when the sun goes into Gemini, these individuals, they go through chaos in their lives from the time that they're born, you know. And a lot of the times the reason why Geminis may not be the best like home builders or the best relators, or they may have issues like themselves, it's because they didn't start with a good lot in life, you know. Like fortune for them wasn't there. A lot of Geminis, you know, when they begin their life, right, like it's just crazy. Like I myself am a Gemini, you know, and I was like born in a civil war riddled country, you know, and then I came to America. Then I got into this incident where I got shot, you know, and then like just all of these crazy things, you know. And then like my father is a Gemini as well. He grew up, you know, with like his grandmother, and like there's just, and he has his moon in Capricorn as well, you know. So I'm somewhat familiar with the Capricorn moon energy, 100%. And so yeah, in general, like Geminis, we have that tendency of going through hardship and trials and tribulations. And you know, I bring up my father. I think one other thing I want to mention is that like he was also born on June the 2nd. I thought that was so interesting when you sent me your birth information. You're born June the 2nd. Yeah, he was also born June the 2nd. Okay. Well, yeah, a lot. So because of that, you know, because they've gone through a lot of stuff, Geminis, right? They tend to be like unstable, and they need to learn to find stability and groundedness. And when it comes to Gemini women, right, they can at times be a handful, right? Whether that, and bipolarism can be a real thing, you know. And this is just in general with the Geminian energy. Gemini, we can be very bipolaristic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we can be very like bipolaristic, and shift from mood to mood or thought to thought. You know, Gemini is mutable air, so what happens is we have this ability to entertain many thoughts simultaneously, many different thoughts at once. You know what I'm saying? The Gemini energy, for sure. Okay, and so another thing I can discuss, I feel worth speaking about, would be, well, I'm thinking. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, you have your Gemini. You have Gemini and like your sun in the second decan of Gemini. And so, what this indicates for us is that like you in this lifetime, like one thing that is very prominent for you is making friendships, and having like a best friend or a lover or whatever it may be. Like looking at your placements, I can tell that it's easier for you to isolate and be alone and by yourself. Like that's more so your comfort zone. But what needs to happen here though is there is a significance, and you will definitely gain a lot of like fulfillment and satisfaction if you were to open up yourself, and be vulnerable to, let's say love or friendship or however it may be. There's like that saying goes, like to risk nothing is to have nothing. To risk love, is like to risk heartbreak, to risk laughter. Like I forget the term, but it just claims that like with every risk, like you're also risking looking like a fool or looking naive or whatever. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. But risk is definitely something worth taking, and worth investing into 100%. But like with you having Venus in Aries, this can play out like one of the war zones for you is like love. And when it comes to the area of love, like there may have been experiences where your mind, your subconscious mind, where love energy is concerned, is charged with like, and relating energy in general, relating with others and everything like that, is charged with this very like assertive and hard energy of like being like attentive to ensuring that people don't like. What I mean by all this is, with the Venus and Aries energy, it very much plays out through like, just like I said earlier, really like hardship and strife and combative energies. It's like feeling like people may not always want to relate with you, but they may want to go against you. But at the same time, one of the reasons that it can play out like that with this placement is because when Venus is in Aries, like these people may not completely know how to compromise, right? They don't really know how to compromise, and what happens is like they would rather, yeah, they don't know how to compromise. It's energy of like my way or the highway. You know what I'm saying? My way or the highway, sort of energy. Okay, now with you having like your moon and your Venus squaring each other, this just like reaffirms like the dysfunctional energy that you may have experienced like with your mother. But it's like the thing is, our birth charts merely reflect to us our internal energetic makeup, or our subconscious mind, and like the construct within our subconscious mind. And so what happens is like what happens is wow, that's beautiful. Sorry. But yeah, what happens is like the information and energy that's within your birth chart is also reflective of energies that exist within you. And as a result, like you actually are from the fourth dimension attracting these experiences to you. So then your life reflects your birth chart, which is a two-dimensional, map of the fourth dimension and what's going on within the fourth dimension. So one of the things you want to think of when you're looking at your birth chart is you want to look at it from the lens of like, okay, so all of these energies can be interpreted as into mental equivalents, different thought structures, thought forms. And when you have certain alignments, like let's say Venus, right? Like in mental alchemy, Venus deals with our social thought forms, like our social mind, and what energy is charged within that social energy for us, right? And so with you having like that Venus in Aries, it's an indication that due to like the conditioning energy that you've had, your thought cells where love and relationships are concerned are conditioned towards like violence. Domestic violence is a very real thing as well here, you know, with you having that moon and Venus aspecting each other, you know. But in general, just like combative energy or ambitious energy or like clashing, right? But primarily because like two people may come and they may be like, this is how we should do it, no, this is how we should do it, and then they don't know how to like compromise together. And so there is a tremendous amount of energy here when it comes to that dynamic of relationships, you know, kind of being hard and harsh, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's like the Venus and Aries energy for starters, right? Now also to look at the moon Capricorn aspect, right? Because like, I mean, moon Saturn aspect. So yeah, when people have their moon in Saturn, you kind of want to look at it from the perspective of like your moon is like your internal energy. You know what I'm saying? Like I already explained what it is, right? And I'm for sure you're acquainted and familiar. Being all of that, right? Being the vulnerable aspect of you, the emotional aspect of you, but then like the what's it call it? Hold on. But then like Saturn also aspecting your Venus. Like one of the ways that this can play out for you is I mean, Saturn also aspecting your moon, not your Venus. One of the ways that Saturn aspecting your Venus as well. I think it might be. Let me look real quick. We have Saturn. Okay, yeah. Wait. Yeah, Saturn. Dang, Saturn is aspecting your Venus and your moon. Saturn aspecting your Venus, it's an indication that there may be a past of like tremendous like experiences of love, you know, where it was hard and there was a lot of trials, tribulations, and like trials and tribulations and lessons, a tremendous amount of lessons where love was concerned. And it was like, if you processed and transmuted that energy and information and you learned what you needed to learn, then it would play out as you now being in a position where you're so wise as a result of the experiences you've had that you know how to run a relationship harmoniously rather than destructively. And where like the energy of Saturn is concerned, like we need the energy of the sun, you know, because Saturn is a rather passive energy, and it's like the sun is an active energy. The sun deals with your willpower, your focus, and how you direct your energy, like your subconscious mind, you know, your mental forces and things like that. And so I say all that to say that with your Saturn aspecting your Venus, it's a valued importance to understand that like there needs to be like self-control, discipline, structure where relationships are concerned, you know. And like it's through that dynamic that you can learn to experience and fulfill healthy and fulfilling relationships through that lens of Saturn, you know what I'm saying? And with you also having Venus debilitated, right, in Aries, it's very important that you learn how to integrate more Libra energy, you know. I've recently had an experience, you know, where it's like certain people don't realize this, but every single experience that we have in our lives is reflective to our subconscious mind. Like we are attracting these experiences as a result of our energetic makeup, you know. And when it's a pattern, then that's when you should really, really pay attention and really, really realize that the illusion is this is something outside of you, and you think like, yo, I'm having these experiences because like the world is evil, people are evil, and this and the third. But that's not really the case. Like we are all in this world coexisting together. Yes, that's true. But we are all projecting our own experience and our own reality. And it's important that we pay attention, right? And we change them accordingly. And that's one of the values and benefits, of having like your birth chart as a guideline. It helps you understand like what you need to work on and this and the third. Yeah, okay. But yeah, so it's important that you learn to bring in that like Libra energy, you know what I'm saying? Libra energy. Otherwise, like there would be strife and hardship, like yeah, like, and I get it because I had an experience with a woman who was a Libra rising, and what that means is her seventh house or descendant would be in Aries. So she had Mars ruling over her seventh house. So it's like what happens is automatically, until of course like she works on it and realizes that this is the raw energy she has to deal with and transform and transmute, that like strife is always going to be in that department of life for her. And like a lot of the times with people with the Aries energy related to like the seventh house or the Venus energy, because Venus naturally rules the seventh house. Venus wants to be in the seventh house. What happens is they would rather be alone and isolated, and they feel like that's the only option in this situation. But in reality, it's not. You can actually learn to cultivate Librian energies of compromise. You know what I'm saying? Like balance, cooperation. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, compromise. Like compromise is big with the Libra energy. Libra is all about compromise, and Aries doesn't want to compromise. Aries wants to do its own thing. You know what I'm saying? And it would rather be an individual and be independent rather than compromise and just let go and release things, if that makes sense. When I say release things, like release expectations of how things should be, you know what I'm saying? And okay. Looking more into your chart, another thing I see is like you also have like Saturn and okay, we talked about your Saturn and Capricorn, right? We talked about your Venus and your Mars. Okay, now like I kind of want to look at your house placements, right, and discuss what that would mean. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing this last is because we weren't 100% certain, right, if like your birth time was on point. But if it was on point, this is what it would be an indication of with you having your sun in the 11th house. It indicates that you are here to be a leader amongst people, amongst groups, and it's important, like for instance, let's say to engage in meetup events, right, where like people gather, and you being like the leader and hosting events such of that nature, and like in such a scenario, like it would have to be Geminian, right? So leading a group that deals with intellect, right? Whether it be like engaging in like a book club with people, or gathering people so then you can work in a podcast or like broadcasting energies, because Gemini very much deals with that energy, of like broadcasting and podcasting and things like that. And aside from Libra, the air signs, they're not really 100% personable in association. Like Libra is one-on-one relationship, so it's a very personable sign. But Gemini, they're not really the best when it comes to one-on-one relationships, because one thing about Gemini is, one, of course, they need continuous stimulation, but two, they're very adaptable and changeable in a social setting. So they're always on the lookout to see who they can engage with, who they can socialize with and communicate with. And in let's say like a party setting where there's a bunch of people, right? Like a Gemini will be in engagement and communicating with you, right? but simultaneously we will also, like scan the room around us to see if there's any other people, if there's anyone else we can engage and communicate with, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, we're like social butterflies, going from one person to another to another. And a lot of the times as Geminis, we more so enjoy the company of our own rather than the company of others. So what happens is we may not even care to make like lasting contacts and connections because we're so engaged with our own relationship within ourselves, right? Like Gemini's, like the twins. So we have that going on where we need to unify those two forces within us. But then, like superficial Geminis, though, they prefer to have a social environment and a social group, a gathering, you know what I'm saying, of love, where, yeah, of love, where, how do I put this? Where do I put this? Sorry, like they prefer, not of love, but it can be of love, of course, but they just prefer to be social and extroverted and around people because they don't want to be in that silence where they have to deal with themselves and listen to their own inner voices, and truly understand who and what they are without like escaping, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, without distraction. So a lot of Geminis may surround themselves with people, but it's a superficial cover-up because they don't want to spend time alone and get to know who and what they are because they're afraid of who and what they are, you know. Yeah. Also, like, just to touch a little bit. All right, that's what I was talking about earlier. I'm getting into the houses. But yeah, so with you having that sun in the 11th house energy, most definitely, it's very important and valuable for you to learn how to connect and interact with, like, society, you know what I'm saying? And not personally on one-on-one relationships, but whether it be through like a business, through providing service for humanity, through broadcasting, whatever it may be. But it's important to understand that like tribalism is also an important energy of like, yeah, building your tribe. And don't fall into the trap of like, because the Aries, like the Venus Aries energy, you know what I'm saying? Like honestly, Venus and Aries, like Venus and Aries, Venus and Leo, and Venus and Sagittarius. Like Venus and Leo doesn't do that bad, you know what I'm saying? Because Venus and Leo, like it's like the sun rules Leo, right? And Venus is naturally close to Leo, and the sun knows how to relate more than like the other. The sun knows how to relate through its sign more than like Sagittarius and Aries, if that makes sense. But nevertheless, when Venus goes into air in a fire sign, you have to understand that naturally Venus is an air element, you know what I'm saying? It's an air element. Like it's also an earth element, but being the social planet, and dealing with how like social intercourse, we'll say, and how we relate with others, like Venus is more like of an air planet than an air planet than anything else, you know what I'm saying? And so like, yeah, it can struggle in the fire signs, but out of all the fire signs, it does not want to be in Aries. And this is because it finds itself isolated and misunderstood, and it feels like it can't mingle with other people because like people just don't get it. But the thing is, the reason why the opposite sign of Aries, Libra, can mingle with others, it's because it has this ability to compromise, you know what I'm saying? And also it has this ability to like understand that like sometimes like certain aspects don't need to be portrayed and don't need to be expressed, you know what I'm saying? Certain things can be hidden and like it's a balance thing, you know what I'm saying? Whereas when it goes into Venus and Aries, it can be very, very like very expressive, very domineering. And so yeah, like I would highly recommend like just looking into the not the Gemini energy, the Libra energy, and cultivating as much Libra traits and qualities and attributes where relationships and how you relate with others are concerned. And just to give you a little bit of insight into what that means, Venus attributes and qualities. Venus deals with, okay, its key phrase is equilibrium. You know what I'm saying? It's all about balance and harmony. And it's like affirmation is I balance. It's all about balancing things. Unfortunately, Libra's weakness and downside is their incombativeness. They can be very incombative, very passive, you know what I'm saying, and overly kind, over people pleasers, right? So of course, that's a negative, that you shouldn't adapt, but you should kind of nevertheless kind of, because their strength is kindness, right? They can be tremendously kind. They know how to compromise. They know how to serve others outside of themselves. That's very much Librian energy. And the thing with Librian energy is it not only is, I think is that a B? Yeah, it's a B. What's up, B? B. Anyways. Yeah, I feel like out of everything, I just intuitively even felt guided to talk about your Venus, you know what I'm saying, your Venus in Aries, because I was just talking about how social intercourse is important, and when we're talking about anything social, we have to consider Venus, you know what I'm saying, and you have Venus debilitated, and then with you having your moon debilitated also, it's of great value and importance that you learn how to connect with your inner self, with your emotions, you know what I'm saying, and not only with your inner self and your emotions, but learn to open up a little bit more and warm up to others and those around you, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, open up around you, open up to those around you and everything like that. Okay. Yeah. So that's I brought up Venus, but I was really talking about the sun, okay? And that's your sun in Gemini in the 10th house. Cultivating and develop some sort of Geminian trait, whether it be your mental abilities and faculty. But to be specific though, because, you have Venus sub-ruling your sun sign, because, the middle decan of Gemini, which is where the sun was when you were born, deals with, it's the most relatable aspect of Gemini, and it deals with loyalty, fidelity, being loyal to a person or to an idea, a study, etc. And it's interesting because in the sky, this energy is depicted by, what's it call it? Yeah, this energy is depicted by this energy is depicted by a dog. It's depicted by a dog because, dog is considered man's best friend, and dogs have this ability to demonstrate tremendous loyalty, you know what I'm saying? But it's not just any dog. It's a race dog, a hound, I think it's called. It's a skinny, tall race dog, to also demonstrate the speed associated with the Geminian energy. Because thought, right? Because thought is very, very fast, very specious. So the ancients, when they were, placing the symbols upon the stars to represent these different things, they use a dog to represent this specific decan of Gemini. Yeah, to both demonstrate the fact that these individuals have ability to be greatly loyal and be great friends, but also they have this tremendous ability of mental agility, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so that's the 10th house. And if so, then also with you having your sun in the, not 10th house, 11th house, this is a house that deals with, whatchamacallit? It deals with hopes and dreams, hopes and dreams. So this can also indicate to us that you have a lot of hopes and a lot of dreams and a lot of aspirations, a lot of things that you want to do. And this energy can also just naturally play out to the Geminian energy. Geminis can be fairly ambitious, fairly ambitious. I say fairly because, yeah, even though they can be ambitious, a lot of Geminis would rather, relax lay around in the garden in opposition to, work or whatever. And even though not money minded and not practical, typically Geminis are broke. Like even if they are broke, they do what they can in their power, to resolve that issue of being like broke and distraught. And like I said on my post, I don't know if you've seen it, but I was explaining how Geminis, we don't really pursue money for the sake of money in of itself, but for the sake of like the freedom that is associated with the money, And so that's why we associate, that's why we get it and things like that. Yeah, and then like you also have like your moon, right? That is in the sixth house, which indicates that in life you've dealt with a lot of health issues and health complications. The sixth house deals with health, and the moon deals with vitality. The sun and the moon, they both deal with vitality. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, with you having like your moon, and if you're having your moon, hold on, I'm thinking. With you having your moon in the sixth house, this can be an indication of like health related and mental health even related things. You know what I'm saying? Where like having psychological health issues, with like whether it be like PTSD, most likely PTSD, because the Capricorn energy is also there. Bipolarism, with the Geminian energy. But also when we're talking about Capricorn, Capricorn, it's associated through Saturn with the spleen, but the spleen, right? But also primarily recognized, Capricorn deals with like bones, so like rheumatoid arthritis, and even like certain autoimmune diseases, because like our white cells, right, our immune system comes from our bones, right? Like our bone marrow produces, those white cells for us. So autoimmune diseases can be possible. And, this is just us getting into astrology, but in stellar healing, we use alchemy, which is a branch of astrology, to heal ourselves by balancing out energies. Like, for example, when you have like excessive Saturnian energy, and like the thing about Saturn is Saturn rules the body, and you have Saturn conjunct your moon also, right? And I think you have Saturn. Let me look. You have Saturn in your sixth house as well. Sheesh. I'm about to check it out real quick. I got you. Sheesh, yeah. So according to this, it says that you have your Saturn in the sixth house, right? And that would be an indication of health, of having like health complications and health issues and things like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, okay. I'm not gonna go too deep into all of these things, because I do definitely want your feedback, and I want to know, because I think it's better for us to work in that means, because by getting your feedback, I kind of gain a better understanding of the accuracy of it all, you know what I'm saying, and if the time you sent me was right or if it was wrong. But yeah, other than that, like, this has pretty much been like our first session. I definitely want to thank you for, investing in yourself through my, company, my business. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you in the future and working some more with you as well. I definitely look forward to hearing your feedback about what you thought about this reading. And if you have any questions, if you want me to revise anything, I'll be more than happy to do so. We can even get on like a follow-up session about this session. Other than that, you have a beautiful rest of your day. Okay, peace.